Okay, hey, it's Brent Leary. Man, I love doing live streams when I can look out the window and it's really just nice blue skies, sunny, and particularly when it's sunny and 80-degree weather. I love that. So thanks for joining me. And I also love having an opportunity to speak with Rich Rao, who is the VP of Small Business for Meta. Rich, thanks for joining me, man.
Brent, it's great to see you again.
Yeah, it's been coming up on a year and a half. So it's really good to touch base with you right now, particularly as we're in the midst of National Small Business Week here. So you being the VP of Small Business for Meta makes for a good person to have this kind of conversation with today.
It's a perfect time, perfect time. I'm excited about it.
So I know you have some news that you guys you just announced basically, and we're going to talk about that. But maybe I could just ask you to kind of take it in. We haven't talked in a year and a half. What's been, the thing that you've heard from your small business customers, the challenges that have been on their mind mostly over that last year and a half or so?
Yeah, no, well, thanks for the opportunity to come on and chat. I think when we spoke last, it was December 2020. We were going through the pandemic, and in some ways, there are still challenges. They're different. We're out of this acute phase of the pandemic. But even as recently as January, the last time we ran our small business report, we saw that, businesses were getting hit pretty hard. Even then, there were more stores who were closed. The shift to online, continued. But throughout the whole thing, I would say, Brent, the most consistent part of the pandemic and the challenge there was that small businesses were optimistic. They were optimistic about their ability to move forward, to maintain their customers, to grow their customers. And so that's been just an amazing source of energy for us, here at Meta. And we've been focused on trying to help small businesses with the tools we have and just make it easy as possible for them to connect with their customers and for them to grow. Most recently, obviously, there's economic challenges more broadly. There's been supply chain challenges brought on, by the pandemic. There's general, employment, help businesses trying to find people to work, inflation. But, throughout, we are seeing digital technology is part of the way that businesses get more efficient and how they can realize more economics of scale. And so, yeah, we've been right at the forefront of helping small businesses through this whole 2-year period, I'd say.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, it's National Small Business Week. So what does National Small Business Week mean to you? Because I know you're a big small business guy. But also, what does it also mean to Meta?
Yeah. No, this is like the big week, right, for small business. So many things happening across the nation. For Meta, we're doing a number of things. We've got new programs that we're launching. We've got training, which includes trainings. And in particular, we're excited to announce new products that we think can be transformational for how businesses connect with consumers. And so, yeah, excited to share the news with you here. And some of these products people have been using already, but we're adding a whole new set of capabilities going forward. So huge week for us.
So let's get into it. What are some of the things that you guys are rolling out?
Yeah, so I'll give you the context for this. This is all focused on business messaging and lead generation. And so to back up and just give you the context around it, let's go back to a time, once upon a time, the hallmark of a small business was about, what was it about? It was about a friendly smile, walking into a store, a handshake, a relationship. And then with the pandemic, all of this started to shift online. And we saw 3/4 of SMBs adopting digital first business models. And so business messaging has been, a top tool for bringing this hallmark of relationship based sales online. And so we've reached this critical point of scale. We have more than 1 billion users connecting with a business account across our messaging services every week. So it's 1 billion every week. So this phenomenon has already happened and it's continuing to grow. And so we've got tools today. Businesses can use free tools. They can have a message, send a message to me on my page or on my Instagram profile or in WhatsApp. There's also click to messaging ads, and we're extending with a whole new set of capabilities, so that businesses can do even more of it. So yeah, happy to go through that. But does that make sense, Brent?
Absolutely. And I'm assuming, as you were saying, it's kind of hard to replicate, the face-to-face nice smile, the handshake, but it had to happen. I mean, when you couldn't do those things pretty much overnight, it caused businesses to have to figure out, how do we replicate that? And so I'm guessing this is kind of the impetus for some of the things that we're talking about here today.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, Brent. I mean, one of my key learnings is that really what happened during the pandemic is it reinforced this notion that it's about the relationship and connection between a business and a real person at a small business, and a real person who is buying a product, a service, and into that person's business, really. And messaging has been the digital mechanism for doing that. A website hasn't done that, email hasn't done that, but messaging has. So we're extending it, and we're really excited. I'm really excited about the potential for this to drive real business results. And so I'll give you an example of one of the things that we're launching, which is, imagine you and I are connected. You're the business and I'm a consumer, and so we're in a messaging conversation. And perhaps I had bought something from you. So we're launching the capability for you to run a promotional campaign to me within the message thread. And so you can customize a whole campaign. You can select not just me, but a set of audiences who may be interested in what you have to offer. And a promotion, for example, like a summer sale. So it can come with a specific, discount, a call to action, your creative content. You can upload an image. And so you're able to really market yourself to a customer that you already have with this new capability. And so we're excited about it. And, so far the early testing has proven to be very positive. And I'll give you an example of a business who was in our testing group. Her name is Stacy, and she runs a tattoo and piercing shop in Knoxville, Tennessee. So shout out to Knoxville. And her quote here shows you just how much better this is than other mechanisms. She says, "A lot of email blasts through my current booking app are just dead ends. With Facebook, these are people who are already connected with and we're talking to, and people can see it and will see it and open it. It's a live interaction versus just sitting and hoping." So yeah, we're seeing a lot of really good feedback like that, and so there's a ton of stuff to come in this area. So that's one example of many capabilities that we're launching this week.
I just recently had a conversation with the CEO and founder of a company called Freshworks. They have a customer engagement platform, have a lot of SMB customers, and they're global. I think they're the first Indian SaaS company to go IPO here in the States. And one of the things that he said is that if you want to do business in India and Asia, you have to do everything through WhatsApp. It's like, if somebody orders something, you send them the order confirmation in WhatsApp. If they have a customer service need, it's done via chat, via WhatsApp. Marketing, you market through WhatsApp. Are you seeing that as well? And are you seeing WhatsApp also becoming pretty important to small businesses here in the States?
Yes, and yes. And that's a really great example. And yeah, it is, messaging has become this place where so many things are being done, as you mentioned. So customer support, sending the order confirmation, inquiries, sales, etc., and shopping as well, and promotions, and then eventually, more and more shopping and commerce. And WhatsApp has been a key channel. You mentioned it in particular for depending upon the market, international markets in particular. WhatsApp is the de facto standard and the platform for business to consumer conversation and for commerce. And so one of the things I'm excited about is that question you mentioned around our businesses in the U.S. also getting interest on WhatsApp. Excuse me. The answer is yes. I mean, a lot of what's happened is because of digital, you can sell your products cross border and anywhere. And so we've seen an emerging cross-border business pattern happen. And with one of the things we're actually additionally announcing is the ability to then message with anyone via the platform that they choose from within a unified inbox. So if you're a business, again, you can see all the different messages you've gotten from Facebook Messenger, from Instagram Direct, and from WhatsApp, and then you can respond, and the response will show up in the consumer's product that they're using. So that we think is going to be huge.
Talk about also, I mean, customers, well, excuse me, small businesses, they're always challenged with trying to find more good customers. And I know, they have websites still, they have lead forms, they're doing social campaigns, but how has the need to do all those things differently driven some of the announcements today? And how do some of the announcements today address that need?
Yeah, so we've also got so there's a few things that I think will help with that. That need to generate new customers is there. So I think all of the promotional campaign pieces that I talked about within Messenger is something that will help you grow. Once you've got that connection, you can do more sales. That changes the lifetime value of a customer. If you can remarket to me and I'm buying more, that then allows you to do more customer acquisition, because the revenue from that customer is higher. So that we think we're seeing businesses accelerate what they're doing on their existing, click to message ads because of that. But there's an additional piece here, which is, you mentioned use the term lead generation. Now, most people, when you think about lead generation, you might think of like a very traditional type of business, but really what's happening is digital first companies are using lead generation tools online. And we're announcing new capability that provides a whole host of functionality to really bring lead generation to life with some capabilities. And so, for example, the ability to create a custom lead form. So if you're a salon, you can ask questions that are specific to the service you may provide around the type of haircut you're looking for, if you want to get color, whatever it is. If you're a professional services company and you're trying to identify new clients, you can do that as well. I'll give you an example of it. Company, since you mentioned India, his name is Anand. He's the owner of a company called Cake Mail, and he trains home or professional bakers. And so it's sort of a niche category, and customers oftentimes want to know exactly how it works. So they want to have a conversation. And so lead ads, it's a perfect strategy for Anand to find clients, because he can ask questions, he can provide content that helps nurture people along the way. He can then take all of those leads because he can integrate it with his CRM system, and then he can work with those really quickly. So and efficiently. So we're excited about new lead generation capabilities, and we've seen good examples like with Anand and other companies, even here in the States, even consumer companies. One called Bow and Bell. Sorry, I had a hard time saying that, but Bow and Bell, and they sell reusable baby swim diapers. And wow. You'd say like, well, how big is the market for it? Well, they ran a campaign and they saw 692 leads from moms and grandparents and just eco-conscious parents who were interested and wanted to know more about it. Right? When you hear that, it kind of begs the question, like, tell me a little bit more about it. So yeah, we're excited about the lead generation capabilities that we're building and launching and coming soon.
What's new with Instagram?
So Instagram, yeah, we've got specifically the ability, not just with ads, but the ability to create customized lead generation forms on Instagram. And so we've had this on Facebook. And so we've seen Instagram become, continue to grow really rapidly. And so we're excited to have basically what's called a quote request, which is you can easily request a quote, hear from a business, and then, and then you can start a conversation on Instagram.
Messaging is one of those things that I live in. I have a lot of interactions with, most of them are like client related. It's really interesting the kind of interactions that take place versus let's say, in a chat situation versus email. It feels less formal, and sometimes that less formal feel becomes an incredibly important way to gauge what's going on with the customer or client. Talk a little bit about marketing messages in MBS.
Sorry, Brent, you cut out a little bit there. Could you repeat just that last question?
Oh, sure. I was just saying a lot of my I have a lot of really deep, rich interactions with customers via Messenger.
Right.
A completely different way of interacting than email. Email feels more formal. I mean, and there's a need for that formality in a lot of instances, but messaging, it kind of allows you not to kind of to step away from the formality and have a different kind of interaction that provides a different level of engagement and maybe even allows for a little bit more of a richer opportunity to exchange, information or feelings or sentiment. Talk a little bit about marketing messages in MBS. And does that allow that to come to marketing, that less formal feel, but maybe a little higher level of engagement or deeper?
Yes, it's a great point and a great question, and I think the comment on the first part of what you said, we've seen consumers choose how they want to interact with the business, right? And in the past, it would be walk into the store. Even in today, there's the phone, there's email, and then there's messaging. And one of the learnings that I've seen across all these channels is that consumers choose wisely. They choose the channel that makes sense for them. And increasingly, they're choosing messaging, and they're choosing messaging on, the Meta, family of products. And so one of the and some of the reasons for why is it is quicker, it's instantaneous, it's convenient, and then it is more personalized. You feel like you can get deeper into maybe a product or talking about, learning more about the business as a consumer. And so with this ability to run promotional messages in Messenger, we think it's going to provide, and we are seeing in the testing groups, even more relevance and really capitalizing upon that personalization. Because when I, as a consumer, receive that message, I feel like it's intended for me. And when businesses, especially when they're catering their campaign based upon my interest and perhaps what I bought in the past, it's going to feel really welcome. It's going to feel like a service. And so I talked to one small business, for example, who will actually test new product concepts with some of our customers who have bought certain types of goods, because perhaps they're going to give really good, not only reviews, but also good feedback on what they liked and didn't like. And so I think that's what's really happened, which is companies and customers can also sort of co-create in this way, using a more intimate form of communication, which is messaging. So I think a lot of this is still to come. We've seen such rapid growth, in terms of messaging as a platform. I mentioned the billion users, between a billion users messaging with businesses a week. And we've seen click-to-messaging ads become a multi-billion-dollar business with double-digit growth rates. But the reality is most of the business is still to come. And that's why I'm so excited.
Absolutely. One thing I'm excited about is I see more small businesses using a tool like CRM, which is great. When you have a company called CRM Essentials, it's kind of good to see that happen. So there's a lot of really good reasons for small businesses to use CRM. And the more they use it, the more data they create around, deals and contacts and accounts and all that. But there's a lot of great information and insights from all the interactions that are growing when they communicate with customers and prospects on the Meta platform. How is Meta helping these small business customers that are using CRM to make the most of it while also using the Meta platform?
Yeah, CRM has been, I think, one of the hallmarks of more sophisticated businesses, generally. And I think what's happened over the last few years has been CRM has not become just a tool for larger businesses, but for smaller businesses. They may not call it CRM, they may not think of it in the same way, but what it allows a small business to do is really make the most of all of their customers, prospects, and really, as you mentioned, bring information to the forefront of really serving their customers. And so we've had integrations. If you look at our marketing on the Meta platforms, integrations with key companies, so that businesses can get the benefits of CRM. We are also, by the way, integrating. So the lead generation capabilities I mentioned will integrate with CRMs as well. So customers will be able to generate those leads, integrate it with their CRM system, and get the benefit of it. So I think that's probably, if I were advising a business, it's sort of, you don't want to crawl, walk, run. And I think whether it's just setting up on your profile the ability to message you, then maybe it's running ads, and then it's integrating those ads and all of the messages with your CRM. I think that's the journey that I'm very hopeful small businesses will go on.
Oh, that's great. So there's lots of stuff you guys are delivering, and a lot of emphasis, just generally speaking, on leveraging data, leveraging intelligence to try to create stronger relationships with the folks you already have, but also to create new relationships and kind of build them efficiently from folks that you don't already have, that you're reaching out for. So the small business in particular are really, I think, focused on that. But there are a lot of, over the last, since we last talked, a lot of new challenges to being able to, leverage marketing, online marketing. There's some privacy issues that have been popping up over the last couple of years, actually last year and a half. Most. How's Facebook or Meta basically helping these small businesses kind of get through these challenges that they're having, so that they can stay on course, they can find ways to leverage these tools to create those kind of long-lasting relationships that they're looking to do?
There have been significant changes to the advertising ecosystem, over the last year and a half since we last talked, Brent. And for sure, it is presenting real challenges for small businesses, particularly for those who benefit from personalized advertising. We talked about with business messaging how the value is in that personal connection, where consumers really want to have that connection with businesses, and they're opting in. And in the same way, personalized ads allow businesses to connect and find those new customers, again, in a way that consumers really want and are seeking as well. So there's been some challenges presented. We are working on solutions. We've worked on solutions over the last year and a half, and in a lot of ways preparing for this change. We've got there are a couple of things that I'll highlight. Number one is the challenges have created a loss of what we would call as advertising signal. And so it's hard to tell when a conversion's happened. And so we produced a new capability. It's called the Conversion API. It allows, with consumer consent, the ability to connect those conversions. So you can see when I run a campaign, did it result in an actual conversion? And so that's out there. That's integrated with some of the key e-commerce platforms, like Shopify is one example, but we also, if you run your own platform, you have the ability to integrate our Conversion API directly as well. So that's helped a number of businesses. We've seen really good results. We've seen some businesses do extremely well and then actually, accelerate what they're doing on our platforms. But people are working through it. We're very much in the learning phase right now, or businesses, I should say, are. And but we're excited to really help businesses with this. The other piece that is launching soon is an updated version of our measurements capability. So even if you have that connection, you have to have the ability to measure what happens. And so we've got some new capabilities. We've actually done a number of launches in Q4 of 2021, but we've got some new capabilities coming this summer. I'm really excited about that. So those are two ways that we're really helping businesses through this challenging period of the advertiser ecosystem changes. But in addition, I'll go back to what we talked about for the majority of the time here, which is business messaging. Business messaging is resilient to those advertiser ecosystem changes, which is part of the reason why we think so many businesses have seen a new way to connect, to find new customers, to connect with them. And now all these additional use cases are emerging off of it. So business messaging will be a huge platform for the future as we continue to help advertisers with the existing signal and measurement solutions that they've been accustomed to using at Meta.
Rich, it's always good speaking with you. Lots of good stuff. Where can people go to learn more about some of the things that we talked about?
Yeah, thank you so much, Brent. It's awesome to see you. Anytime you want to chat, I am game, as you know. You can go to facebook.com/business and always has the latest information on what we're doing to help businesses. Thank you.
Thanks for the time, Rich. It's always great. And I'll definitely talk to you. Hopefully it'll be sooner than the 18 months or so.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Thanks, Brent.